with you is I'm going to make you work actually, is to gather that same input, but in this setting. We did the same in our African chapter workshop and the Middle East chapter workshop. And the feedback we received was actually extremely valuable because people put it into a context that through a survey you don't always get. So, and since I only saw a few timid hands, I'm going to take advantage of you in the room. So this is really the why. So I'm going to read it out loud, although you can read it on the screen. But the Internet Society exists to build, promote, and defend the global infrastructure that connects independent networks into a single, trustworthy internet beyond borders and communities. So this is a definition of the why that we established. And so what I want to do now is really to go through the three objectives that were identified and gather some feedback from you. So the questions I have are really, does this resonate? And I'll probably pause on that and see, does extend the internet to communities that do not have it and need it most? Is that a statement that you think resonates? Is it something that the Internet Society should be doing? Is it something that you feel as a chapter and as an individual you can contribute to? Is it something that you would be willing to advocate for? I saw some nodding.
Yes, I agree with these points because especially in our region, I mean in Central Asia, there is a lot of regions without the connection to the internet. That's why this is important. Yeah.
Do you see any challenges? Some issues?
Except funding, yeah.
Funding?
Yeah, okay. There could be problems with government policies because it's Central Asia, yeah. And one important point that I should say is today is 9th of May, and in our our region celebrates the Victory Day. Just as an example, today I just got the information from my friends and colleagues that the internet went down in my country suddenly, yeah. And some of the most popular sites, such as YouTube, Facebook, etc., were blocked today because one person who ran from the country several years ago engaged people to participate in some protesting movements. Yeah, that's why our government blocked these sites. That's why the connection to the internet is really important for this region.
Perfect, thank you. Anyone else? Enzo? Oh, Johan, you had your hand up first, right?
Oh yeah, I won. No, it's I guess some days. Now I'm gonna sound like an old fart, which I am as well. But some days I actually wake up and wonder what the world would have looked like without the internet. So I think the first question here is, I guess, build the internet we want, and then expand it. Because if the internet is shit, as it's about to become, unless we mend our ways, then the question is, do we really want to spread it? Sorry for pressing it.
That's a good point. The Internet Society would not exist without the internet, I would say.
Of course.
Okay, some thought. When I was in the 25 years, I mean, the 25 years age, I was working to help in building the internet in terms of providing infrastructure, connectivity. And this is still true. Now I moved to the second and more 25. And I am back to a developed country like Europe, like Italy. And I see a new challenge, which is we don't have connectivity, but for many people there is no internet because we have lost the sense of internet. The internet goes well beyond Instagram, Facebook, whatever. So even if we are hyper connected, we don't fully realize, I mean, the new generation, especially the potential of the internet. So we should probably think both ways. The physical connectivity for those they still need it, and let's say logical connectivity for those who are hyper connected, but they've lost the point, let's say.
Do you see, Enzo, and I think we had a queue,
Together for the
a queue
same
behind
point.
you. But Enzo, do you see any environmental or issues within Italy? I mean, I know Italy quite well because my other half is Italian. So, but so in terms of political or economical situation, I know there's still in mountainous or valley areas, the connectivity is still to be desired, I should say. But do you see any political, economical limitations or issues that some trends that you see?
No, more than, I mean, what I see is that especially young people, I mean, the Y generation, whatever we want to call, they don't understand what is the full potential of the internet beyond the
social
obvious,
media.
the social media.
Okay, thank you. Roger?
Yeah, it's not when it's about deploying infrastructure where it's in places which are underserved. It's not only about funds, making funds available, but how these funds are used, and probably the optimization of the usage of these funds. It's
The business model around it?
Yes, definitely, and also the infrastructure model itself, how it is sold and it's made available to everybody. And then there's also the point that if this is not done by us, it will be done by somebody else. We see how Facebook and others are promoting this vertical integration, and this is a bit scary, and I think it's breaking the internet conception as a whole.
Thank you.
I wanted to bring also the concept of community networks. We are both
yes, you are. There's a pollination there of.
We are both in the. There is actually ISOC does a very good job about this, and there is the community network SIG that we are both members, and it's very active, and there are many programs like Beyond the Net. I just want to raise the issue of, again, beyond internet access, because there is always the fear that all these programs will just connect people to Facebook and Google, and they will not truly emancipate them, but follow a more colonial approach to connecting the communities. I think it's very critical to bring this sovereignty and emancipation dimension when we try to connect the unconnected and not just connect them to the internet.
Okay, thank you.
Just a quick word. First, obviously, seconding my colleagues, internet is not only the web, so quite an interesting point, thinking about IRC and so on, which is quite powerful. And the second point is universal accessibility.
Any trends or issues that you see that would influence the objective here?
My opinion is that we should focus also on software and not only hardware. I mean, we should create environments that promote open source software platforms, self-hosting, understanding what it's data. I mean, going between putting your cable and connecting to the internet, but understanding what means server. I mean, the software part, it's not enough supported. The alternatives in software and education, of course, we said many times. Perhaps Roger has.
The trends is what I said before. This vertical integration from the content providers. I think this is scary and something that we should pay some attention.
Okay, I think we have.
I think more important before the providing the connection, providing some collaboration tools for communities, for internet communities to collaborate and make some interesting project together inside the community and in a local or in global community. So.
Thank you.
When we are talking about building the internet, as the other people have mentioned, we know that Elon Musk will throw some satellites so that the rural areas will, have internet. So, for example, this needs a lot of budget, right? So the internet society doesn't have that much in such a scale. So when we mention about building the internet, what do we mean? Do we mean that, for example, forcing the infrastructure to build some devices? For example, in our country also, I know some places that the infrastructure provider doesn't want to put a device because he doesn't think that it's economical for it. For example,
We have quite a few stories here in the room that can.
For example,
yeah.
technically it's possible, but economically it's not possible because the company says, okay, if I put there, for example, there may be some cases like you want extra ADSL connections, but the telecom provider says it's not feasible for him because he will not earn enough money. So we need to draw the scale, what we mean by when we say build the internet. And I always think another thing that building something is not enough. Consistency, making it alive is so important.
So I think that actually goes back to the comments we heard before as well.
Once again, such a diverse group, because Serbia's case is 100% coverage, which means, yeah, fantastic. Because, yeah, good for us, good for the government. Also, I mean, it's up to the providers, government, blah, blah, blah. So it's covered 100%. Of course, there are some spots, I presume, where I sometimes go for skiing that's so. It's not so covered, but it is. I mean, the whole area of the country is covered, which gives the government opportunity to manipulate. So, that's one of the reasons also why it's covered. Unlike, some other, when there's no coverage, and that's the problem. In our case, it's covered. We are good.
The challenges you see is on content control and the use of the internet. Would that be the two pieces?
Also the stability of the connection and some other issues. But
okay.
Yeah.
We have a visitor. Tommy?
There's a lot of hype surrounding 5G, so I think that Internet Society could be spreading some balanced information about that.
5G. Okay. So one more from Roger, and then I'm gonna jump to the next one.
I would like to react to this 100% coverage. Job done. It's like saying all of you have Facebook, job or Google or whatever, job done. Nothing else to discuss. It's about sovereignty and the self-determination and the right to choose which kind of access, how we want the infrastructure, and so on.
Thank you. I was waiting for one of the two of you to say something, but sorry. So can I just generally speaking in the room, can I just get a general sense of everybody? Like, does this resonate with you? Is this an objective if we look at the longer term? Like, this is something you feel that as Internet Society we should pursue? Just a raise of hands on a yes. I think we have rough consensus, as we would say, right? That's the. Do we do the humming? Should we do the humming in preparation for ITF in Spain? Do we want to do a no humming? Okay. So this is the second objective, which is promoting the internet. So we have three areas that we are looking at here. So one is promote the internet model of networking as a preferred model. Convince leading governments of the world to adopt policies that favor the internet model and improve internet connectivity. And lastly, but not least, promote the deployment of technologies and protocols that secure the interconnection of independent networks. I'll pause just a second because it's so same question. One, does this resonate? Does this in Europe, in your own countries, does this resonate? Is this something that you can stand behind? Is this something that you think we should be pursuing? 1, 2, 3.
Okay. In my opinion, we can't convince leading governments. Okay, we need to design another strategy, like group of interests, like a lobby, but not thinking about convince the government. In my opinion, okay? That the government don't want to convince about the our model of networking. Okay. Because they need to control the internet. They need to control. They thinking about how we can control the internet. Okay. They don't say to us, but they are thinking about it.
We had, and then
What I see is the current state of the internet is not decentralized anymore. So when I first started using internet, the people were saying it is decentralized, but it's not. Now with the DNS, PKI, and everything, the governments or the companies can block some traffic, can give some importance to some traffic. So for example, with the emergence of the video that much, now we see that the internet is flooded by the video traffic. Sometimes the other traffic is slowed down because everybody is watching television or video or other, and the infrastructure is not enough anymore. So we should of course promote the internet, but perhaps think about another internet which is decentralized by using different DNS, different PKI. And there is, I know this IETF, there is a working group in decentralized internet. So we should work on it.
thank you.
Yeah, again, I think, well, if you look at that, Facebook is an independent network, and I think we should promote the free, open, democratic internet, and not just the internet of today. So I totally agree with you. So I mean, back to the internet that we once defined it as, and has become something else. I think we have to work on the definition.
Anyone else? You're more about building than promoting in this room, I see it.
Now, the current trend concentrating all the infrastructure in few hands and few telcos. I mean, there are mergers and mergers all over the time. It's going the opposite direction. So we need to counterbalance this, definitely.
Since I have the microphone, I want to say also I agree that it's not one internet model. I think this is a mistake to assume that the internet model is one. So what type of internet? I mean, you know, we want to promote. I mean, the internet now exists everywhere. I don't think that it needs a lot of no, but how it's done, under which terms,
So
etc.
maybe I can add some of the definition around the internet model, which is it's a very good observation actually. So it's looking at internet protocols for interoperability and data exchange. It's endless networks through standards that define the routing, I never know how to say it, infrastructure. Depending on which side of the ocean you're at, you need to change the pronunciation. And then basically to allow applications to operate globally without permission. So this goes to the permissionless innovation piece as well, obviously. And to enable new operators to join, which goes to the acceptance of new operators, which could actually link back to the community network pieces as well, obviously. So that's in essence the definition that that we had in mind for the internet model. Very good observation, actually.
No, but back to the comment, you know, the model leads somewhere, right? So I guess we have to question ourselves all the time regarding not just saying that we have these fundamental principles. And once upon a time, they were good. But if they lead in the wrong direction, perhaps we need to revisit them or tweak them or define them in a better way. And so I'm kind of scared about this just promoting the internet as is because it's leading us in the wrong direction, offloading, whatever have you.
Thank you. Any other more difference? Mika, you have a.
Yes, I agree. I think when you only promote the internet we have, you should also look at the problems the internet caused so far. And I think Internet Society has responsibility also to look at those problems and to solve them, maybe, or help solve them. So that's an addition there.
Okay. Thank you. While you have the mic, maybe you can, any trends you see that would influence this, so that would, apart from what you all said, which is already quite a lot, but any political, economical, social trends that you see that would influence this? We talked a little bit about the economy already.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of trends, like the platform economy we created, the labor market, which is under pressure. I don't want to mention it again, the fake news implying on democracies. There are a lot of trends there. Yeah.
Okay. Last words of wisdom from anyone? You did it on purpose, did you?
I mean, it's just adding to the trends, and I think this is more on the geopolitical side of thinking internet model and what statement that brings to the wider context. And aside from kind of like thinking fragmentation in terms of, you know, like the emergence of new platformized kind of ecosystems, but also thinking about alternative models to the internet, which is thinking about Russia's attempt to create an alternative DNS. So I do think that the internet model kind of, I don't know if that's the intention, but just thinking about trends in the language, I would think that talking about an internet model sends out a particular message of there is one model and there are other models out there that, you know, and then the geopolitical tensions playing out into that. So I don't know if that is intentional in terms of language, but I do think that is one of the trends that kind of comes into perhaps in the statement.
Thank you. I saw some nodding. My side view here on this side.
What I find is that this is too neutral. I mean, it's a statement, it's a number of statements everybody will be happy with, but it's, I mean, do we need to convince government to adopt policies that favor the improvement of internet connectivity? Everybody will agree. It's everything. What kind of internet are we? What is the internet model? If we don't define this, I didn't see anymore the discussion about net neutrality, which is something that a bit complex. But if we don't get into this, then I mean, there would be nice statements without.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, at least, this is too general to respond to, you know, promote the internet, okay? But also, what kind of independent networks are we talking about? What does it mean for them to be interconnected? Like, if they are interconnected, they're not independent. So for me, it's like too many general and contradictory, you know, terms. Or maybe I'm just not understanding well enough what it says. But I think it can be specified a bit more. independent network. So what does it mean, independent network? And if you interconnect them, are they independent? In which sense this independence, you know, so that is, yeah, but that's not.
I see that you see many contradictions where I don't find them, but anyway, it was because you already sometime before you also said that there were some contradictions with other topics, and but yeah, that's it.
So I think you should.
The interpretation I make is that the internet is the network to some extent. If we are talking about independent network, then we lose a bit the concept. I mean, this is the interpretation. Yeah. Yeah.
So we talk about a network of networks, right? Just to say it really clearly.
I can understand it in some way, but if you are asking a question, you have to specify very well and not leave it to the understanding of each of the readers. That's what I'm saying.
So we need a clearer definition of what the terminology means.
Well, building on Louis' comment, just a quick word. On the second part, as it concerns regulation and state policy, most likely it's explaining how is internet working, the multi-layer system, and having regulation adopt it and understand it in a way.
Okay. Last wise words. So now it's not Hans Peter, but it's me standing between you and drinks and dinner, right? Is that the last one? I promise. So the third objective is looking at defending the internet, and so the three statements we have here are: shape the policies of leading governments in favor of the growth of independent networks. I'll let you read the note. Counter attempts by leading governments to undermine encryption. And then defend against shutdowns by increasing cross-border connectivity and resilience, which I understand in Kazakhstan is needed. Oh, I see a wave of hands. I love it. I'll start with you, and then I'll come to you,
mean,
Luis.
this is back to it again. I mean, like, you could exchange governments for big tech here as well. You know, so what is the type of internet that we want to have? I mean, I guess in the future, well, we've seen that back in Sweden as well, huge discussion when it comes to if big tech is shutting down, so to say, accessibility because it's always bundled with telecom deals, you know.
Am I going to sell it to you by saying open, globally connected, trustworthy, and secure?
And what do you mean by trustworthy?
Maybe he wants definitions on everything. He's going to pick on me.
But it's do we trust Facebook first? I mean, like it's back to the question what type of internet we want. And I think since we don't see that, I think the word net neutrality, I love that came up here. I can kind of sums it up pretty neatly.
Okay, thank you, Luis.
Yeah, I had 2 points, but I'll try to remember the second one. Yeah, okay. So the first one was similar to his comment on what is the role of big tech over here. I understand that there is a particular pressure coming from governments, but I do think there's this other side that can be better balanced out in some way or in some wording, because defending the internet is also about the business models that run on top of the internet and that are part of the experience and the ecosystem that these users have of the internet, right? So even I'm being a bit academic over here, even the imaginary of what internet is, you know, it's changing. And I do think that the big techs are a great part of that. So maybe include that in some way might be representative of this struggle or this tension. I would also think I would also like to know a little bit more about what you mean with leading governments. I understand leading governments in terms of the geopolitical tensions, but I do think that in some ways, specifically on the first one, it might underrepresent a lot of countries. So I understand on the second one, on attempts by leading governments, but I do think there are a lot of attempts that come from, you don't want to say the word non-democratic because you don't want to define democratic, but you also don't want to say leading because there are other countries that are not necessarily leading that are also doing practices of blocking and filtering that are, you know, not not necessarily according to the view. So so that is the other thing, like maybe rethink the leading in some ways, and if there's
there
another
was-
word. And another point that I would have,
let me
oh,
just
man.
let me just
Yeah,
add
okay,
something
well,
to the leading part.
yeah.
There was some discussion at some point about looking at the 5 eyes for that. It was felt that that was not the right way to go because I was narrowing it down too much. And so but it's good feedback in terms
Yeah.
of the word doesn't actually capture.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's
if
good.
you're looking at leading governments, you know, like if you want to really, that is not the expression, but if you really want to name and shame and have a more like strategic, you know, engagement with these ones that are the ones that are shaping, okay. But like if you're also looking at practices that are happening like in non-democratic countries that are affecting the way the network operates, and you know, you can name Pakistan and YouTube case and other cases like that. But the other one that I would say is that another language that I think would be interesting over there is not only shape, counter, and defend, but I do think there's a value in informing. I don't know if you discussed that in the process, but I do think it gives kind of like the active approach of really ISOC informing as it already does, you know, and defending is also part informing.
Would
So
that-
I don't know if that falls under that
Would that
category.
fall under your would that fall under promote?
Yeah, I think it would fall, but I don't know if there's an active. I don't know. I'm just thinking about the advocacy side of informing, and if that could be considered defending or promoting. But that is more of a conceptual discussion. But just bringing the idea.
I have Panos, one other thing I want to plant while the microphone moves to this, or did you want to add something as well? Does the word defend work? Because feedback we had in other regions, and I will not name the region, was that the word defend did not resonate. So I see it's in, oh, so okay. So I see interesting, okay.
No, I just want to confirm that I really don't like this word. I could say, for example, sustain or, but defend, that means that there is a threat and we probably this is the case you want to touch, but probably we should find something positive, not. Thank you.
I just want to come back to the big tech, and I would really add a sentence like counter attempts by big tech to undermine, let's say, diversity. And this is really important. I mean, we cannot avoid the threats that the internet has today by the big tech. I mean, this is really central for me.
Would you link it to the consolidation discussion we had this morning?
Yes, I mean, in any discussion, this appears. It's one of the core threats of the internet, the big tech, and it should be presented in a way that makes sense. For me, diversity is a nice term because it leads to life, you know, biodiversity. I mean, it's very critical, and these companies very explicitly try to undermine it. I mean, it's very.
And so you had some comments, and then I see two.
May I?
Yes.
The first part, I don't know if it's only me, but I'm getting confused. I remember it's like a flashback. In the past, we have internet with a small letter, small case I, and internet with capital I. And the last 20 years, I think we forgot about the small letter, and we only had the internet with capital I. We are bringing back that concept, and we are giving probably too much leverage to those other networks that will be apparently competing to some extent. I mean, so conceptually, I'm a bit shocked by the introduction of these other networks. and giving leverage to those other networks, while we should try to co-opt. I mean, they are inside the internet, not external bodies. Because if we consider them an external body, they may consider that they will grow up and finally absorb the internet, which is something that we don't want. And you were suggesting something that instead of defend, maybe avoid shootdowns by increasing and so on. So in this case, it's more neutral. Huh?
So my idea is to reformulate a little bit and to say like this. I don't know if it's correct or not, but it's acceptable or not. Identify and fight against blocking factor for internet development. Because I remember, I take you back to 93. We had no link to the internet, and we made a training for all the high schools in Romania, around 200 people, by creating all the internet in one room with 6 servers. What you talk about? So we have to identify now, today, that means to have all this reaction interactively and take action on the level of internet society.
Okay.
Okay, great job. We all together refine the concept. If we need to defend against shutdowns and then, okay, we in Spain we have plenty of hackers. Okay, in order to make an army in order to defend again the shutdown of the government. You know, okay. Has ISOC this capacity of defend against? But maybe we have the capacity to inform about constantly, like net blocks, for example. Okay, inform. Okay, we don't permit any shutdown. Okay, our colleagues from the Central Asia inform to us permanently, yeah. and right now we inform and
So
inform.
So it's more the advocacy information part rather than the active defense, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think, but when
collect and react. Okay. So, no, I thought saw some movement, but.
And I should ask, are we defending the internet against the governments, or should we also defend the internet against companies? You know this.
So
you know this all. Yeah. For example, when I started dealing with the internet so many years ago, but I was just curious, why isn't there a open search engine? Because you left the search engine, we all left the search engine to Google, right? Because he or it has the control that, for example, from my country it gives different results, from your country it gives different results, for even for different machines it gives generic result, different results. So how can we trust that? But everybody, most of the internet users think that internet is equal to Google, right? So if they cannot reach something through Google, it doesn't exist. But it exists. But perhaps the Google blocks it. So many things that we should think about. So for example, what I think is, in order to defend the internet, in order to defend how we should shape the internet or how we dream about the internet, we should have a test bed. We should have some good practices. I don't know. I'm an academic. Perhaps the ISOC should put some more fundings to shape, to connect different countries' academics all together to form different solutions that run on the universities or to run on somewhere else. So, for example, a different search engine, a different something, a different DNS, a different public key infrastructure that could shape the standards, because we failed, right?
So you're going to go to Madrid for the ITF, right?
If I get the funding, why not?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, not strategic, this please. Yeah, so it was interesting when he was talking, because even though we talked about, you know, the representation and the tensions between big tech and governments, I was just thinking over here, like, if the word, I don't see a better word for defending, because I do think it gives, and if that is the purpose, like really giving a proactive approach to like the next years and what are the outputs that are going to come from having a more kind of like hands-on, you know, building and defending the networks that are being built and the infrastructure. I do think it provides leeway to kind of like what's going to come in the next coming years. So strategically it's interesting, but I would just think, I don't have an answer for that, but like defend it brings about the question, which is very interesting that he mentioned, defend from, and that I don't have an answer for that, but like maybe specify like I know there is a move there, but I do think that, is it the purpose to be confrontational, and because defend from, you know, and if the purpose is to be confrontational, then that talks about like the strategy and the outcomes that you're looking for in the next coming year. So I'm just thinking about the kind of like the linearity of the strategy and what's going to come, and if defend from is going to be better in that sense, or you want to have a more kind of like conciliatory approach. I'm just brainstorming here.
Okay, thank you. So can I have a general sense of, so understood that I think there's a common trend here in the room that we need to add some big tech somehow in here. But generally speaking, does this resonate specifically in Europe? I know Europe is large and wide, and we have Central Asia, which is part of it, but so there's differences. But so generally speaking, do you feel that from your own perspective, this resonates for the region, for your countries? Little show of hands. Little humming? No humming? Okay. Okay. I didn't ask for promote. Did that resonate? Let me pull it up again. Including the comment. I mean, but you know, not including the comments. I mean, this is an open consultation, so obviously we'll include, you know, a whole bunch of comments. But considering the conversation we had, does this resonate in the region? Yes or no? In your own countries, in your own contexts. Just a show of hands. Okay, I think on that one we have more. Okay, excellent. I'm gonna just pause and see if anyone has anything to add to this. But the next, I just want to say thank you for all the input. Having the face-to-face feedback is always much more colorful, complete, diverse, and nuanced as well than if you have to give it in writing. Very often people struggle to find the words, whereas you know when you're talking about it, you get ideas sparked from the rest of the people in the room. So I want to thank you for the input. This is very important to us because this is really going to drive the future strategy of the Internet Society. And the next steps in there, I wanted to go through that as well because we're not done. Is really so we've started the development process of the 2020 action plan, and the big change with the last couple of years is that we are really doing an active community consultation process. So this includes individual members, chapters, but also organizations, and some organizations that are outside of our space that are surrounding us. So we're really trying to get some input from the community as a whole. And not only will this actually define the 2025 strategy, but we'll also use that input to define the 2020 action plan. So in terms of community input, for the hesitant hands that showed up earlier in the conversation, your inputs on the 2025 objectives are being processed right now. So I think we will have some initial results from the survey consultation in the next couple of weeks. And then based on that feedback, staff will actually come up with a number of projects that will then define the 2020 action plan. And we will go back for community input on the projects in July, August timeframe. So you'll have an opportunity to see, do they make sense? Do they not make sense? Does that, do you have any additions, any comments, any feedback? So you'll have an opportunity to really help us shape the action plan of 2020. And then looking further down, we will organize a community forum to present the 2020 action plan based on all the feedback we received from you in November, December. We haven't set there's some large events happening in that time frame, so we're trying to find a time where we can, that would be conducive to discussion with the community that is not clashing with too many of the big events at that time. So, but the November, December timeframe would be when we actually come back to you and present the 2020 action plan going forward. And we hope that based on the 2020 action plan, you would then, as chapters, be able to take that input to shape your own action plan of your chapter and see how we can actually collaborate. In the July, August timeframe, if there's anything where you see that this is really something we as a chapter want to work on, please flag it. I mean, this is the collaboration with the chapter, as we've seen on the IoT campaign specifically, but also on the community networks campaign that we had, and in some cases the manners campaign. We actually see that the best way to achieve results is to work very closely with our local community. And so we want to continue that. I just want to say that. So any comments, any questions? One?
In the past discussion, in the general title, I don't know if we can defend the internet, but I suppose we can try to protect the internet with the main title. Okay, well, and my question with this end of your presentation. Thank you so much. I see the ISOC is changed more like a enterprise and not like a NGO. I agree with that. Okay, we need to make a statement and make goals. Okay, not only to talk, only to talk about. Oh, okay, we need to make goals and put assignments and work. Is this the way right now, or not?
I would argue that we have always had that. The one big difference is that we are engaging with our community and communicating this to our community much more in advance. And we are really involving the community in shaping the action plan, whereas prior, I would say it was mostly driven by staff and by the board without a lot of community engagement and consultation. So I think that is what you're seeing now. We always had goals. I always had my KPIs and things like that, you know, just and I always had my metrics by, you know, you can ask the team, but so we always had that. I don't think that has changed. The one big change is that we are really wanting to engage the community much more in advance in helping us to shape, get some feedback. Does this work? Does this not work? Whereas before it was more, here are the 4 campaigns that we're going to do. And so I think that is really the shift that you're seeing now. And so I hope that that is actually a good thing. And that we can really together shape the future of the internet society and the internet at the same time. Any other questions, comments? I see the thinking face of Mr. Donk.
No, but I like what you're saying, but actually, most of what we're trying to do here and Joyce try to achieve come from the community. This is something that we receive from you. We want a more professional organization, with more metrics, with something where we can measure the effort. So the community were quite vocal about organizing. So we actually try to reflect, and we continue to do with this exercise what you want. So you have the power to influence those processes and continue to do so with this. So this is why we insist, because honestly, at the end, whatever you will say would really be taken, more than taken into account, will be implemented in clear processes. I see that is coming every day, and this is what we try to do.
You excited? I know. It does. As I said, I'm standing between them and drinks. You know, that's the. So, was this useful? I just want to hear if this was useful. I hope you will all feed back into the July-August community input. We really need your help. We really need your input. We really want to do this together. It's the only way we're going to succeed. So thank you very, very much. If there's any questions, any comments, Nick, Christine, myself, Frederick, only Nick. Please feel free. If you have any other thoughts about what we discussed today, just drop us an email.
I think about defend internet. You should develop e-commerce, because you know about Telegram. In past year, Russian Federation trying block, and for this, Russian Federation maybe several millions IP address was blocked in Russia, and Russian businessmen starting lose money because you can do anything. Banks don't work, sites don't work, and if I think about our country, if we'll be earn money using by internet, and my government start block internet, like, and if we will, I don't know, starting losing money, it will be, I don't know, our president's thinking, if I block, I will lose something like this. I think it will be, I don't know, good thinking about developing e-commerce. It will help for developing internet and defending. It's my opinion.
What do you want to talk about net blocks?
Yes, of course. So, of course, and thank you for saying this. I'd like, I presented that yesterday or 2 days ago here in CDT. And honestly, we made a lot of position papers explaining how bad blocking the internet was, or filtering the internet was, with some impact. But then we thought maybe, well, some people don't really understand, but when you touch, you know, the wallet, that makes a difference. So we got a wonderful tool called netblocks.org. I don't know who knows this tool. Some of you mentioned it in the conversation today. Netblocks.org, check that tool. This is something with an algorithm, very serious, because we take figures coming from ITU, from different sources that are really credible sources. We have crafted an algorithm that shows you how much money a country loses for 1 day or many days. I mean, you have your countries, you put 2 days. So I made the exercise from Romania, and for just 1 day blocking the internet here in Romania, the total cost would be 187 million per day. If you just block YouTube, it's 3 million. So that's the check you pay. So that is impactful. I would invite you really to use this with your governments, showing them that blocking has a financial impact as well. Just not only those beautiful activists talking about human rights, that is the case, but there is also the fines that have been hit. I guess this is exactly what you wanted to say.
I wanted to take the Benin example, because it was a couple of weeks ago where on the Sunday when it was day of elections, they blocked mostly social media. It was WhatsApp. Neville, you were involved in there. It was WhatsApp, all social media, and IM basically. NetBlocks actually jumped in right away together with another partner of ours, which is Access Now, to really showcase, like, yes, it's about elections, but here's the money you lose. And that actually had quite a lot of impact in the country to showcase, like, it's not just about the social and the social control, but it actually has a very strong impact on the economy. But then also what we did was with Oracle, who is our one of our organization members and partners, is that they produced an intelligence report to actually show what the effect was on the network, and how the trust of the network would actually be affected because of the 1 day of blocking. And so these are the things that we need to talk, by the way, but it's maybe something we can do,
So, yeah, talking about the net blocks, just yesterday, as I heard about this site, exciting, actually. I checked the site, and today, as I heard about the blockings, I engaged my colleagues and friends to start this. They have the tool to measure the, well, not to measure, to check if there is any blockings about these sites. And actually today, just as I heard about the blockings, I went to contact with the administration of this site, and I sent them the list of the sites that are blocked. And they already made a report about the blockings. Yeah, you can check these reports on this site. That was really amazing experience for me.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's great. So they actually, I need to tell a little story. It's actually the Turkey chapter who brought Turkey blocks, they were called at the time, to our attention. And so we actually decided to collaborate with them and to help them develop the net blocks part. So they wanted to expand beyond Turkey. And so it's, I think, Jeren, I don't know where she's hiding. She went out, but so it's actually Jeren who spotted them and who brought them to our attention, and we actually supported the development of the platform at some time. So glad it's useful. So this is great. Really stand. Oh, dear. Panos, you're killing their opportunity here.
It just came to my mind when we talk about long-term perspectives, 2050, how much it was, and we were talking at lunch, and at some point we got stuck in the discussion, and you said, anyway, we have climate change in 10 years, nothing will exist, so let's relax and enjoy as it is now. So I would like to bring this dimension when we talk about some long-term things, to bring sustainability, ecology. I mean, the internet plays a key role today in affecting our behavior, but itself is a consumer of a huge amount of energy. If we start thinking of the Internet of Things, the blockchain, all these are very, let's say, growth related and energy consuming tools. So I would put it somewhere, somehow, that when we want to discuss so much long term, we should think also about this, unfortunately.
So on that very, I was looking for our joke teller, but he no longer is in the room because, I wanted to end on a.
Sorry,
But
in a way, it's
an
very
important
good
point.
because we can relax. I mean, in a few years, nothing will exist, so we can enjoy the last.
So no, this is a. So again, I want to. I don't know, Nick, if you want to officially close the meeting, since Frederick officially opened the meeting, I think it's up to you to officially close the meeting, right?
We're closing tomorrow.
But for
we
today,
have more work to do.
the day.
All right, everybody. I just
Thank
sent
you very much.
You can cut the feed. You can cut the feed. This is all about dinner now. Thank you all very much for your efforts today. So I just sent everyone a mail that gives a map.